Alright guys, tomorrow I'm going to take you along on a job. We're going to use this subcompact John Deere 1025 tractor with a new chipper I just purchased this week, and we're going to do a review on it. This is the Mighty Mac TPH 475. It's a pretty simple chipper. The reason I stuck with this one rather than some sort of hydraulic feed chipper is I needed something that's simple to use, not going to require a lot of maintenance, and it's just built like a tank. I did a lot of looking online, a lot of research before I bought this Mighty Mac chipper, and this one had a lot of really good reviews. Super simple to use, just a basic in-feed chute here, right down into the chipper blades. Again, this is not some sort of hydraulic feed chipper. And then your chips just shoot right out here to the side. Optional attachment, you can get a adjustable chute here to where you can chip things into the back of a dump trailer. That's something I might consider buying at some point in time if I continue to use this chipper. Simple to hook up, simple to set up. It's just a PTO driven chipper with a 3-point hitch setup. It took me probably an hour and a half to assemble it once it came. So there's not much to talk about with it. I haven't used it yet. So tomorrow we'll get a lot of use out of it, and I'll give an honest review of whether or not you might want to consider buying one of these for your subcompact if you're into doing tree work or you have a large piece of property. As a side note, if you guys are first getting into tree work and you do not have a lot of money, you might want to consider buying a subcompact tractor rather than an excavator or a skid steer right off the bat. Reason being, this is how I started my tree service, and it has worked out great. This John Deere tractor has been fantastic. It's done a lot of work for me, and I eventually ended up upgrading to an excavator, but I still use this tractor for many different jobs, including jobs like this where I need a chipper. I'd rather use a machine that I already have and just add an attachment to it to get more work done. I've got a box scraper for this. I have a grapple for the front of this tractor along with these forks. There's many different options you can add on to these tractors and make them extremely useful. So even though I have an excavator now and have access to other machines, I still use this tractor from time to time on jobs. If you do get one of these subcompact tractors, I would highly suggest you get a pair of forks for the front right off the bat. With those, you can load logs, brush, and all sorts of stuff. All you do is just trim down the branches or the logs to the width of your dump trailer, or about 5 or 6 feet, pile them onto the forks, and then you can just dump them right over the side of your dump trailer. Works extremely well. We're gonna do that tomorrow, and I'll show you how that's done. All right, guys, that's it. I'll see you in the morning when we head out to the job site. Okay, guys, we're at that job site today. We're gonna be using the Mighty Mac to take down this alder and chip it. Here's the alder right here. We got half of it hanging out over the neighbor's house. We're gonna have to climb and piece down and throw all the brush right over here next to their house. We got septic lids, so we're gonna have to take a look at where that is to make sure we're gonna be okay dropping pieces in here. The septic lids are right over here near the house and in that field, so we should be good to drop pieces right in next to the base of the tree. They're not gonna have any sort of drain field right next to the tree, so that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go offload the tractor now and get it put back here. Here's the 1025R. We're gonna go ahead and offload this off the trailer and try and get it through this gate here so we can set up to chip all the branches. Okay, we were able to fit the tractor through the gate, luckily. It's another reason why you get these little subcompacts or mini excavators, is so you can get into these tight backyards. Here's the gear we're gonna be using. Gaffs, obviously. Silky Zubat, MS261, a T540 Husqvarna, Petzl Sequoia climbing harness, steel core lanyard, and a backup lanyard, as well as a climbing rope with a Petzl zigzag. DRT system. This is what I prefer to climb with and advance in trees, is just use a DRT. I think it's a lot more efficient than trying to set lines with SRT. Last thing, don't forget your water, some sort of Gatorade. You don't want to get dehydrated on the job. I had that happen on that last job. We climbed 2 big firs next to the house, and I was unable to finish filming the job just because of that. So make sure you stage that next to your gear. One last thing before we get started, forgot to show you guys. We have 2 main stems to this alder. One of them is obviously leaned out over the property next door. The way to get that down is not to chunk down this left stem completely right off the bat. What you want to do is leave this center leader coming off that left stem. You can put a DRT system real high up there, and that'll give you stability as you move up this right stem to chunk this down and limb it out. Set your bag at the base of a tree and set it out further so that when you're dropping limbs, the limbs don't fall onto your bag. And as you cut them, try and swing them out away from your bag so you never get your line tangled. Okay, we're ready to go up. We're gonna start limbing this thing out. You can cut branches like that where you just make a top cut to it, peel it down, and then you can avoid hitting roofs and structures like that. Same with this one. We'll just make a quick cut on top. Let it peel down. There you go. This branch, shown you guys before, with this, you don't need to make a face cut for this. We gotta swing it out away from the roof. All we're gonna do is make a cut on the side of the branch and force it over with our hand. We're almost to the top now. We've got a few more branches and we'll be able to tip the top over right down into here. away from those septic lids. Remember, make that side cut, push it out. We're ready to top this alder out. I want to show you guys something. Be really careful when you're climbing alders, maples, any sort of brittle tree. As you get closer to the top, you want to be careful about how much you move back and forth. If you can look down, this thing is swaying all over the place. Just with my movement of flipping my lanyard up. So if you're in a compromised tree, be really careful about that amount of movement, because you could actually break it off below you and then you'd obviously fall. So just keep your movements to a minimum unless you know the stem you're working in is sound. With alder, if you need to control a piece, you can just put a little back cut in it and then break it off. There's just a snap cut. Come in the top, then the bottom, about halfway into the tree. Make sure you have overlap there with the two cuts, and you can break it right off. By the way, guys, this is still on eco mode. First battery. One battery will take this entire tree down. Okay, now we're into the other alder stem. This is the middle stem. We're going to use this one to set a double rope system way in the top. That'll allow us to get into this alder that's leaned out over the neighbor's property. Okay, we're at the top now. Instead of taking this entire top out, I'm gonna look for a limb in here that I can utilize, that my line is gonna glide through nicely, like this one here, so it doesn't bind up. You don't want one that's really tight because you can't get your line in there. It'll create a lot of friction. So we're gonna utilize this one here to put the double rope system into. So leave yourself a nice chunk of limb here so that there's no way your rope can slide off while you're climbing. Another thing you can do is leave a second limb underneath in case something ever happens with this first one. Your line will slip into this. Now I have my line set up across both limbs. In case one fails, I have a backup. And now we're gonna rappel down and we're gonna go in the other tree. So instead of rappelling all the way down, I'm actually gonna get down about halfway, a little more, and we're gonna do a swing out to that tree. I wouldn't suggest doing swings unless you have a decent rope angle above you. We have quite a bit of rope up there, so we can get into this alder that way. If this were to be more shallow, maybe 5 or 10 foot of rope, I wouldn't do a swing over into this tree. More than likely you'd end up just missing and coming right back into this one. That's it. Okay, we're in the other alder now. As you can see, this tree's leaned out over the neighbor's fence. I'm actually hanging out over it right now. But we need to get this entire tree over the fence line. So the only way to really do that, I should say the safest way to do that, is to set a line high above you in another stem or another tree, and then move over into that stem that you need to work down. As you can see, the rope angle is pretty high up there. It's almost as high as the top of this other alder. So now we have a lot of stability. I can lean back in my lanyard, put a lot of weight into this double rope system, and I'm very comfortable right now cutting and being able to handle this brush and swing it over. As you advance up the tree, just keep tightening up your double rope system. Pull down and then pull up on your line. If you guys don't have a zigzag, I would really suggest you buy one. They are great for doing DRT climbs. Okay, so we ran into a big limb here. We moved the tin out of the way. It was in the neighbor's property. The way to get this down is not to make just a top cut and peel it down, because what can happen is it can split 5 or 6 feet out on this limb and rotate up, and you won't be able to grab it quick enough. So you want to definitely put in a face cut for something like this. So we're almost at the top here. You can see the rope angle starting to increase. The higher you get, you know, it starts becoming more dangerous if you take a fall. I mean, this is just an alder. We're not real high off the ground. But if you get into firs or something that's, you know, 80, 90 feet up, be really careful of your rope angles. Make sure that you have, it's not too steep. You don't want to swing into the tree that you're tied into and get injured. But I guess it's always better than falling as well. That's it. We're gonna cut the top out of it now and start chunking it down. Still on the first battery on this saw. Okay, we're on the ground now. You can see how having that high tie-in allowed us to get into all three of these stems and take them down safely. It's the only way to tackle some of these jobs. Get your line out. Do not leave your carabiner attached. More than once, I've had to go back up tall firs to get my line out because of that carabiner getting stuck in a limb. Just take the knot out. This is just a double fisherman's I always use. And then just pull your line out. Never get stuck. I wanted to show you guys something impressive. We limbed this whole alder out, all three stems, chunked down most of it. This is a T540, still at 3 bars on the battery. In the morning with the excavator to get some of the larger parts of the stem. We use the steel 261 today to chunk the tree down. This is a great saw to climb with. It's nice and light rather than bringing up a 60cc or bigger saw into the tree. You really don't need it. This thing can chunk down some pretty large stuff. So you'll see we'll be able to get this whole thing on the ground today and the base cut off with just this one saw. Septic field under us, or septic tanks. We don't want to hit those, so we're going to break them off over here. for wire, nails, things like that. This big piece of wire growing out of the tree. If I'd have been putting that cut in and hit this, it would have wrecked the chain. I'll bend this down and try and cut below it. If you guys can, put some padding down, another log or something like that to spread the force out when you drop stems over, if there's any sort of septic or anything you're worried about damaging underneath the ground. We're gonna put a face and back cut in this, drop it over, and that'll be it for the day, and I'll see you guys tomorrow morning. Well guys, we're here at the dump. I decided not to film the rest of that job, just mainly because it would have just been me hauling a bunch of debris back and forth to the dump trailer, and that's not really all that interesting. So I got the last load out of there. I just got to get it dumped here and then go back and get a tractor. One more thing I wanted to tell you guys about is Jesus Christ. I can tell you right now, guys, if you don't know him, you need to seek him now while he can be found. Thank you guys for watching. I'm going to leave you with a little bit of scripture at the end of this video, and I hope you guys have a blessed day, and I'll see you on the next job. God bless.
In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The same was in the beginning with God. All things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made. In him was life, and the life was the light of men. And the light shineth in darkness, and the darkness comprehended it not.